Welcome to Health Business Mastery, the Creative Thirst podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Hewitt. I have a special guest for you today in this episode, Dr. Karen Vieira. In this episode, we cover lots of topics, everything from content all the way to compliance. Karen is a wealth of information in the health supplement space. She will definitely be back on for a future episode. Our voices do get a little strained toward the end, so I do apologize for that. But the conversation was going so well that maybe we went a little too long. Here it is. Enjoy. Welcome to the Health Supplement Business Mastery podcast. In today's episode, it's all about content. Our guest today is Dr. Karen Vieira. She is the CEO and president of MedWriters. She holds a PhD in Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, as well as a Master's of Science Management, and was a former research scientist at Kraft Foods. The MedWriters provides effective marketing and technical writing to clients in the health niche. Some of their clients include Twin Labs, Abbott, Johnson & Johnson, the NIH, and more. Hiring the MedWriters team of biomedical scientists and doctors is like pressing the easy button for professional supplement writing. When you're looking for authoritative content in the health space, whether it's web content, articles, white papers, or more, go to themedwriters.com. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, Bobby.
Yeah, great to have you on. You have a wealth of information in the supplement space on the content side as well as formulation and everything else. But for today's episode, I'd love to focus on the content side and would love to have you back at a certain point in the future and we could dive deep into other areas as well.
Yeah, there's so much I'd love to cover with you, but I know we'll take it just today's episode. We'll take off a bite-sized chunk and chew through that.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest. So tell me a little bit about the MedWriters and how you got started and what niche you're filling and what hole in the marketplace are you providing?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you covered in your intro, I am a scientist by training. And after completing my doctorate, I did a little bit of a postdoc period in academia, and then I moved to industry. And I actually got recruited straight out of my PhD program by Kraft Foods, which I was quite confused about because at the time I was working in a molecular lab doing gene therapy research, essentially. And I was like, what would a food company want with a scientist like me? And I was curious, and the pay was really good. So I went and I interviewed, and at the time I was in North Florida, and the thought of moving to Chicago was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a terrible idea. But I went and I actually really fell in love with it because what I was working on there was so different than what I had been exposed to, but it was taking the stuff I knew and applying it in a whole different industry. And so the project that they had for me, they needed somebody with my expertise, but I had to learn the food industry. So it was kind of cool because I was teaching them biochemistry and molecular biology, and they were teaching me food science. So by way of working there for a few years, what I learned was the supplement industry, essentially. So I was in a group called long-term research. And what long-term research within a food company means is that we're going beyond, hey, we're going to add some calcium and magnesium to our cheese, for example, because everybody thinks of cheese when they think of Kraft. But we're going beyond that. And what are the longer term ingredients that we need to be researching that may make it into foods in 10, 15, 20 years? They may not be ready yet, but let's be on the cutting edge and preparing for the future. And so that was my job, was basically to look at supplement ingredients and be this person who got to imagine how can we get supplement ingredients into our foods. And, I got to work on every type of food that Kraft had. So I wasn't limited to a certain brand. And for those of you that don't know the food industry, it's very much like the supplement industry where a few companies kind of own most of the supermarket. So Kraft, at the time that I worked there, was the largest U.S. brand, meaning most of the stuff in U.S. supermarkets do come from Kraft. And so I worked on everything from cheese to Oscar Mayer to, chocolates to coffee to just crackers, anything you can imagine. I got exposed to, and it was really exciting. I could tell a million cool stories, but what's really relevant for this audience, your audience, Bobby, is that I learned supplements in and out there. I worked with any kind of ingredient you can imagine, all the vitamins, minerals, obviously, every kind of herbal, every kind of amino acid, every kind of fatty acid. I took it all in, I soaked it up, and I learned so much. And I already was leaning towards natural health. So when I did my doctorate, it was kind of a toss-up. I kind of wanted to go to Beijing and learn natural Chinese medicine, but I didn't have the funding, and I was getting paid to go to school and do a doctorate in gene therapy, which I was also passionate about. So I went that route, but my heart always lay in doing things naturally. I'm not a fan of taking medications if there's some natural way, some lifestyle change that could bring about the same effect. So I really loved that job in terms of what I learned. And then I walked away with so much knowledge that I could apply. And I always knew I was good at writing, because whenever I wrote something, I got the effect I was looking for. And I realized it was because I could think about the audience. What's the intended outcome? How do I need to convey this message simply and effectively? And so it was a very natural transition when I left that job, because I really had enough of shoveling snow. And I was like, bye-bye, Chicago. Love you, but I'm headed back to Florida. And so I started my business then, because I really had a lot of knowledge to share, not just from the biotech and pharma side of things from my academic and previous research, but then from the food and supplement side of things from my work at Kraft. So at that point, I got a group of other scientists like myself with varying different PhDs, some medical doctors, some naturopathic doctors, chiropractors. We kind of all got together and serviced clients as they had needs for writing. And we really just became this one-stop shop in terms of content. Like, I understand the web. I've taken, every marketing class I can get my hands on. And our team is constantly learning, constantly growing, understanding SEO, understanding just how marketing works, the psychology behind it. We have PhD psychologists on the team. I've trained in NLP and so many other different types of copywriting techniques. And so we service clients all the way from healthcare and pharma and biotech, medical devices, but supplements is my favorite. We have so many supplement clients, and we've done so much work in the supplement industry that eventually I kind of branched the company out and split it into two, where we have a sister brand called makeasupplement.com, where we do a lot of work on the formulation side and helping supplement clients, because they came to me and that was what they were asking for, is we don't have scientists to help us. We're struggling. And the companies that can't afford hiring in-house scientists and doctors on full-time budgets, they use us as kind of their advisory board and their medical director kind of thing, as they need us on a freelance kind of basis. So that's really a niche we kind of fell into, just because as we were writing so much in the supplement industry, that's what was needed.
That's fantastic. That's the typical sort of entrepreneurial story where the market leads the product. That's great. And you were so ahead of your time working at Kraft. You were in the functional food space before. Sounds like before it was even a thing, and that's kind of where the market is right now. Much less where it's headed. You were there before. That's fantastic. You have such a jump, not only in sort of the market knowledge, but also in the ingredient side and how it interacts biologically. This is great. You're the perfect guest.
Yeah, I was super excited for your invitation, because I feel like I have a lot to share, and I love this stuff. This is the stuff that keeps me up at night thinking about, how do I get this food to do this thing? How do I get this supplement to be more bioavailable? What else can we use? Where can I get synergy? This is my heart.
So good to hear. Let's to the content. So on the MedWriter side, you do content is a huge topic in and of itself, right? There's so much different types of content, right? You mentioned SEO, like it's just for Google authority. When someone sort of searches you and wants to find out more about you, they want to know if you're legit. Basically, there's that type of content. There's like lead generation content, right? There's article content, email content, sales page content. There's so much content, everything from social media posts to doctor endorsements. What do you find is what most supplement companies are asking for, or maybe not what they're asking for? What do you find that most supplement companies that come to you need the most? Maybe if they're not even asking for it, it's like, what do they really need on the content side?
Right. So what I tend to tell my clients is think through your audience. Who are they? Know them well. Their habits. Where do they hang out? If they're hanging out online, where is that? And when you know your audience and you know their demographic and you know where they're hanging out and you know their buying habits and you know all these things, then it gets so much easier to figure out what types of content will sell to your audience. So for some of our clients, they're doing, which I know a lot of your target market does, they're doing just mail outs. They're doing just direct mail. And then they go, well, why do I need content? Right. And they might come to us just to have a website that looks legitimate. But for those types of clients, their biggest concern is usually FDA and FTC compliance. Because they say, well, when I'm doing my direct mail, I kind of fly under the radar. But as soon as I put it up online, now I'm worried that I'm going to get a warning letter because I'm making claims. So we do a lot on that side. And so actually, what a lot of people need, but they don't realize they need, is actually help thinking through what are their goals. Because what I tell my clients is this. For a brand new supplement company, you can't get a foothold if you don't basically break FDA and FTC rules to some extent, because those rules are such where you can say nothing.
Yep.
You can just say, here, I have a product. That's it. Just here's my product. You can say, may help improve health.
Yeah, that's right. It supports X, supports Y, and that's it.
As soon as you say any specific organ, any specific, disease or condition, any lawyer, any FDA, FTC lawyer will tell you technically you're in a gray area. So I tell my clients, you have to get a foothold in the market and you have to say what your product does. And it's one of those things where it's okay to get a warning letter from the FDA that says you can't say this, because that means you actually got traction. You got clients, you're selling. Nobody gets a warning letter that's not making any money. So the goal should be to get a warning letter. Push the envelope. Say what your product does. Get it out there. Be everywhere. Let people know about you. And then rein it in later if you have to. Now, that's my philosophy. I don't own a supplement company, and I'm not a lawyer. So I'm not trying to give, either of those perspectives, just my perspective of what I've seen the last 13 years in business with my supplement clients is that the ones that do that get further faster, because just doing the direct mail alone limits the business growth. Because then when, if your demographic is 55 plus, you're mailing to their house, and then they tell their friend, hey, Mary, I got this thing in the mail about this thing, and Mary wants it. Mary wants to go find it and buy it too. And now there's no website to order from. There's no information about it. And so that's a real disadvantage. And so a lot of what I encourage those types of companies to do is make sure they have the content online to back up what they're mailing out to their prospective customers, to really, show them online as well, have the same presence that they're having in the mail. And if they need to dial it back later, we will. We're more than happy to revise. We do a lot of revisions after warning letters have been issued from the FDA and the FTC. Not a problem at all to dial back later, but get out the gates for the startups, get out the gates strong with very good content. So some of the things that we do for some of our clients is really just help them kind of flood their site with content. Because for a new company, you definitely, or even new meaning you're putting out a new product, or new meaning you're starting a new initiative to really push your products, you want to flood with content. So we help think through all the different angles of what that content can speak to. What are people concerned about? What are they looking for? What are the different things that your product does, and different ways that people might be searching that? Because, you and I may say, I want to deal with acne. Somebody may say pimples. Somebody may say clear skin. So it's thinking through all those, because then those are the key words that we have to go after with our content when we're SEOing. So it's thinking through, not just what we want to put out there, but the different ways that people will be searching those terms. And then the other thing that we really encourage our clients to get behind now is video, because, some people are lazy and they just want to click a button and watch a video. And so we do a lot in terms of different types of videos. We do scripts for the animated videos, and we have a graphic designer, animator, all the IT kind of back end people to do the whole video. Or sometimes we have clients come to us that have the tech side of things covered, and they just need the script for the video and maybe some of the visuals of what they need to include. We do a lot in terms of video where our team will record actual videos. I go into the studio, I'm in there probably every month. I try to batch them and do, as many together as I can, where people want to hear from a medical professional, but that can speak in clear, simple terms, which is difficult to find. No medical jargon, explaining what the ingredients do, explaining what studies have found, explaining really the activity that you can expect in the body from these different ingredients when we put them together in whatever blend you're selling. So video really is kind of the way to go. We do a lot in terms of other types of content too. Google is constantly changing its algorithms. When Google bought YouTube several years ago, all of a sudden YouTube videos got a much higher Google rank. Years ago, it used to be PDFs. PDFs still get very good Google rank, but YouTube videos get better because Google owns YouTube. Google doesn't own Adobe Acrobat. So you got to think like Google and you got to do what you got to do to get where you need to get to. And so we do a lot of videos. We still do a lot of downloadable PDFs and things like that. Obviously, tons of SEO content. We really encourage social media. For a lot of people, their demographic is older. A, they have money, B, they have health problems, and C, they're tired of going to their doctor. So they're trying to fix things. And those people hang out on Facebook. Like everybody's parents are on Facebook now. People's grandparents are on Facebook because they want to see the grandkids' pictures and such. The younger people have moved off of Facebook a long time ago, and they're on IG and, other platforms. But the older people, who are really the biggest demographic for most supplement companies, they're on Facebook. So if you don't know Facebook marketing, you're at a really big disadvantage. So videos do really well with Facebook marketing. So we're more than proficient in doing Facebook videos or videos in general, but to kind of funnel into a Facebook ad campaign.
Yeah, and Facebook is a unique animal in and of itself, right? As far as supplements go, there's a lot, like there's compliance, which you spoke of, and then there's like Facebook compliance, right? Which in some ways more strict than the FDA compliance, because they don't even like certain type of offers. They don't like supplements at all.
They don't, and it's very tricky to even get a foot in there. And how do you do it? And doing it in such a way that will actually work, because it sucks when you can't say what your product really does and you can't say what you're really selling, but you have to. So I've seen people kind of using Facebook as a way to get interest, but then they're really selling a supplement eventually down the road. It's kind of a
funnel. It's a more expensive funnel a lot of times, because you're kind of front loading interest, and not a lot of that interest is going to convert into sale. So it's a very different type of funnel. But I've also been seeing more upfront, just upfront offers on Facebook. Like, so the typical supplement sales funnel, right? We'll bring them in on a hook that is some intriguing or interesting hook, and then turn that into an emotional story, and then turn that into a sale, right? But Facebook doesn't allow that at all. So what I've been seeing a lot of working on Facebook is more of an upfront offer driven approach. It's like, hey, it's 50% off, it's 30% off, it's buy one get one free today. It leading with the offer rather than leading with the hook, and it's kind of eliminating a lot of those sort of direct response core steps, if you will, and getting right to the offer up front.
Yeah. What I've seen a lot of our clients really need from us too is just content for their Facebook pages and other social media pages as well. But Facebook, like I said, is pretty heavy in terms of the demographics that a lot of people are going after. So they want to have a page that they can drive their audience to like, and then they want to post content on there fairly regularly. So not necessarily going through the Facebook advertising channel with this aspect of it, but more just doing having that presence and the constant reminder. And, if you have a sale, you're posting, you're ending up in the news feed of, your audience, your customers. So I've seen quite a bit of work for us in that field, just making sure that there's, we just want some health tips. Maybe it's not all about our product, but what good information can we put out there on social media every day to just be top of mind in terms of our customers and our audience.
Right. This kind of ties back into what you said earlier with what the way I like to think about it is like you have this bucket of like trust content, right? So you're not really trying to sell. It's really just trust building type of content. And that can be anything like you just mentioned, what are the top like things to do for this ailment? There's no offer. But it could also be things like how this works inside the body, right? What other types of trust building content, not just Facebook and social media, but like you mentioned earlier, SEO and blog posts. So what other sort of strategic level things beyond the trust bucket of content do you see? Because I think the trust content is key in this space, and it really fits into sort of the framework we use, and trust is one of the core fundamentals of that.
Yeah. The other thing that I've really seen a lot with recently has to do with the fact that Google is constantly changing their algorithms. And one of the changes a couple of years ago really had to do with authors. Who's the author of your content? And so that really put my company in a place where we were suddenly in high demand because our whole team has the name doctor in front of their name. So all of us either have a doctorate, like a PhD in some kind of biomedical sciences or food science, a naturopathic doctor, medical doctor, chiropractic doctor. So everybody's doctor somebody, and Google likes doctor somebody a lot. So when your content is posted as Bobby, Google's like, Bobby may know what he's talking about supplements, but I'm not sure. But when Dr. Karen Vieira posts it, they're like, oh, I know this chick. She posts good stuff. And then you get a higher rank with that content. So we've had really a lot of requests over the last couple of years to write content where we're willing to author and be in the WordPress or whatever system they're using as the author, put our picture, put our bio, and just be the author of that content. We've had other clients that have quite a lot of content already that was doing very well before Google changed their algorithm. And then when that algorithm change happened and they took a hit, they came to us and said, we don't actually want our content rewritten. We like our content and it did well before. We just need a doctor author. So what we do as a service for them is more of a review where we take a look at their content. If anything is inaccurate or misleading in any way, we will have to edit it in order to put our name on it, but we will review that content. We will, kind of match it up to scientific studies and make sure everything in there is A-okay. And then we'll go ahead and do that same process as if we authored it to put our name either as author or as reviewed by one of us. So we have a lot of clients that are in that boat, just trying to get back the rank they used to have.
That's brilliant. So in effect, it becomes a republished, right? You polish it up. So it's the same post, right? Or is it the same post? Do you have different?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It really depends because some people have some wildly inaccurate things on their websites. And unfortunately, none of us are going to jeopardize a lifetime of hard work by putting our names on something like that. So if it's wildly inaccurate, I'm sorry, but we have to change it. And so some things are rewritten. And sometimes we have to kind of go in a totally different direction. But other things are very accurate and we just kind of, of course, we edit if there's any grammatical or spelling or typo type errors, because that's what we do. We're writers as well. Can't let the typos slide, not under my name. So yeah, we'll do, depending on the content, we'll do very little or quite a lot in terms of rewriting.
Yeah, authoritative content is more than just backlinks that the SEO would like you have to believe, right? Like you said, it comes to who is written from. Is there any other sort of key insights there or strategy points besides like authority and trust building?
I think what I see that's very important for customers, consumers want as much information as you can. And I find the products that have as much information as possible about the product itself, about the ingredients, about how they work, the studies that have been done on the ingredients, even they want to know where you sourced it from. Consumers are getting very educated now, and some of them really want a lot of information. And so having that information available on your site really is a plus in terms of selling, because then, people want to read and they would say, okay, more about this ingredient. Oh, and here I can click and see the studies, and here I can see where you're buying from, and I can see, you're manufacturing in a pharmaceutical grade facility. They want to know everything. They want you to kind of open the doors and show them the insides. Why did you create the company? What was the idea behind creating this supplement? Customers like stories, and stories sell well. And I think in the supplement world, people are used to this story in terms of like long form copy, right? I started 13 years ago writing a ton of long form copy. Now there's still long form copy, but there's so much other types of content as well. But let's not get away from storytelling. Even if you have a supplement business where you have kind of what I call a short modern corporate site, which is not the long form copy, you still want to tell the story. They want to know why. Why did you start this business? Why did you come up with the idea for this product? Why do you think it's going to work? Why everything? The why, the how, the what, the when. They want to know everything. And I find the clients that I have that are really telling that story in a very good way, they engage with their audience because they become vulnerable and they become people. And, here's how our company started and why we care about you and why we're creating the best products for you. That really, to me, is a great way to go with the brand in general.
100% agree. And that storytelling aspect has always been a part of that long form direct response. I am seeing sort of a shift happening though. So like there's the direct response world, which has always known that and always included that. And that's why, those pages scroll on forever, or that's why those VSLs are like 45 minutes long. And everyone looking at that would think that doesn't work. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Then the other side of the coin, right, are more the brand side of things, right? The more of, we don't want to, they're still telling their story on those sort of brand side supplement companies, but what they're doing is they're not doing it in the same way as the direct response guys are doing it. They're kind of splintering it, in my opinion, and separating out. We have our About Us page. That's where our stories are. Then we have our product detail pages, right? And there's no story there. There's just take 4 of these every day. There's 30 in the bottle, and here's what's in it. So getting that sort of marriage or together of that the brand and the direct response together has been a challenge for some of my clients. How do you guys approach it from a content perspective of marrying the two together?
So for me, I like when we can put as much information as possible into those product pages and those about pages. And so when we're given free reign, which we're not always given by our clients, but when we're given free reign, that's the direction we like to go in. Let's tell the story, even though it's fragmented between the homepage, the about page, and the product pages. Let's tell that story. And it doesn't have to be an emotional sell, like the long form sales copy. But it can be somewhat emotional because that story, people have emotion that go along with the why they're looking for this supplement, some of the problems that they're dealing with. And so I like having that depth of information. And it might not be, 20 pages to scroll through. It might just be one page, but we're going to hit it in a few bullet points and tell that story. Now, we have customers that come to us and tell us, what they want, and they want very brief, very vague, and we do it. But it's not the direction I would advise when asked for my opinion, which I don't usually give if I'm not asked. But I have a wealth of information and a wealth of experience. So I'm happy to share when asked. I do tell people to go with as much information as possible, not just because we get paid more because there's more to write, but really because I believe that's what gets the better conversions. I'll give you an example. We had a client come to us maybe last week or the week before, and we had done, I believe, the formulation for her product years ago, because it didn't even ring a bell to me when I saw it. But she had the website up, and I guess she was trying to figure out how to get more sales. And she reached out to somebody on our team and said, "Hey, you guys worked on this. Look at my website. How can you help me?" And so the person that works for me sent it to me and said, "Karen, take a look, see what you think. Let me know what to tell this lady." I looked at the website, didn't have a clue what her product did. The homepage didn't tell me. The product pages didn't tell me. The ingredients, because I know what the ingredients do, what they're for, so I could guess at what she was going for. So I said, okay, maybe she just wants to be fully FDA and FTC compliant, which is going to make this really difficult. But, I was trying to find some advice to tell her what she could do with her page, with her site. I finally, somewhere in the about page, she had a whole explanation as to why she created the product and what it was for. She just neglected to put that on the homepage or any of the product pages. And I was like, whoa, this was a major oversight on your part. Because if you're trying to be compliant, you're not compliant because you have it in your about page. You just don't have it anywhere else. And if I'm landing on the home or the product pages, which is most likely where people end up, not on the about page, I won't have a clue what the product does. And so I won't buy it and I'll just click away. So, it's really to make sure you're looking at your site with the eyes of not you, because you know what your product does and what it's about, but you've got to look at it with the lens of your customers who just want to 2 seconds see a heading and it makes sense. And then they know this is what I'm looking for or it's not. So you've got to have really good kind of headings, very clear descriptions, very succinct to the point. As soon as they land on your site, they need to know what you're selling and why it's in their best interest to stay and look at it.
I see that so many times. The key information is buried on a different page. The worst case, the case you said with the about, I see all the time. The worst case I've ever seen was they separated their sort of return policy, their guarantee, and they put that on a separate page. So the key piece of information that you need to know when buying is not even on the page that you can buy the product from.
Yeah.
It's one of those core fundamental principles of people kind of stop selling on the next click. So I see this a lot on the shopping carts, on the order pages. They just stop selling at that point. They did all the job of selling on the previous page, and then kind of get out of your way and let you put in your information, which works on a UX usability perspective, but people buy supplements totally different than they buy any other type of products, and it just doesn't work for supplements.
This is psychology. You've got to put yourself in somebody's shoes. And so I try to tell my customers, you've got to think about a time where you were in a crisis with your health or in a panic about something happening with your health. And you're not thinking clearly. You're just like, I need something to fix this problem and I need it now. And when you put yourself in those shoes and take yourself to a time where you were in a panic, or if you've got perfect health, maybe a parent, a loved one, someone who was ill, where were you mentally? And then some of your customers might be in that place, and you have to be very aware of selling to them in a way that's going to work with their current state of mind, which is, I need something to fix this problem. It needs to work. I need to know it's going to work. There's a money back guarantee. Great. If it doesn't work, I can send it back. I know what it does. Here it says what the ingredients are. I know that there's nothing I'm allergic to. Like, all these things need to be super clear. If I'm vegan, I know that this is vegan. Great. Like, it needs to be there and it needs to be spelled out. Nobody wants to go hunting for this information.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Interactions are another big thing. Is this going to interact with something else I'm taking? Yeah. These are all sort of deeper into the funnel kind of questions after they've decided, okay, this thing is right for me, right? You hit on the trust, you hit on the hope, you hit on the desire. Now it's just a reassurance at this point.
Yeah, that interactions topic, I could kind of go down a rabbit hole with that one for a while, because we do have a lot of requests, like I said, to make videos kind of endorsing supplements, talking about how they work. And, if I'm going to put my face on your website talking about your product, I need to know that it's 100% safe. Then I put my lawyer hat on and I say, what happens if somebody takes twice the dose you recommend, 3 times the dose you recommend, and they take it every day for the rest of their lives? What's going to happen? Because I don't want to be personally liable for your, oversight on this. And so that's the type of digging that we do. And, we have access, obviously, to a lot of studies and things that people don't have access to, because we're paying for subscriptions to a lot of different databases and journals and things like that. So we're able to see those things. And sometimes when we come back and we tell our clients as we're working on their product, we're not going to be able to put somebody's name and face from our company on your site unless you take this out or change the dose of this or adjust this in some way, or you're going to have to put a really big warning that says this can't be taken with this medication, this can't be taken if pregnant, this can't be taken if you have heart condition, if you have kidney problems, so there's a lot of that floating around. And so for me, I take lots of supplements. I always have some sitting on my desk. Some of them I buy, some I make myself. But I'm a supplement person. I believe in them. They work. But I am very cautious because I won't take anything that's going to make my heart race. I won't take anything that I know long-term is going to cause kidney damage. Like, I care about myself too much to go down that. And so I'm not going to let it happen to anybody else, not if I'm aware of it. So we're very, very picky about the types of products that we will jump in and do work with. And so there's a safety and efficacy review before we'll jump in and do, a video endorsement, a written endorsement, before we'll put our names on anything. And so by seeing so many of those over the years, I know there's a lot of things that you need to communicate to your clients, to your customers that are buying the supplement. Hey, this is not to be taken long-term, or this is not to be taken with heart medication, or whatever those things are. People will appreciate knowing it, because I think a lot of the supplement owners I've seen, they're very fearful of putting anything negative out there about their product. But I feel like it helps to build trust. If you say, well, we have an ingredient in here that really is not safe for anybody taking an antidepressant. People want to know that. They don't want to go to their doctor's office with it when they're feeling like crap and then figure out that that's what's causing the problems, right? And then you're going to get a whole bunch of negative reviews and negative write-ups online. So it's like, to me, be proactive, preemptive, share as much as you can, do your due diligence with safety. The databases are out there, the studies are out there. You can figure out, and if you can't come to us, we can. You can figure out what the safety issues and the limitations of your product are and share that with your customers. They will be very appreciative. Yeah, you're going to run away one or two of them, but the ones that don't run away are going to appreciate that they know what to look out for.
Absolutely right. The biggest thing anyone can do to build trust with another human being is just tell them a fault. Admitting a fault immediately like catapults you in the trust level, because brands don't do that. Like we treat brands differently than we treat people. But at the end of the day, people buy from people. People don't buy from websites, brands. They buy from people. Yeah. So it really should be the same way on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm going to be the person they're buying from, because I'm the video on your site talking about your product, I need to know that I can trust, because I'm not going to promote something, talk about something saying it's good if it's something I won't take. So I have to know it's safe, and I have to know that there's studies backing up that it actually does what you're saying it's going to do. And then I can give people my vote of confidence that it is going to do these things. But absolutely, a lot of my clients get really freaked out when we tell them you're going to have to put some kind of a disclaimer, letting people know that these are possible side effects or this can't be taken with this. And they're like, but it's not a bad thing. That openness is fantastic. I think it'll actually improve conversion rates.
Yeah, that's one of the things that it's like, that's something you shouldn't test. Like we do a lot of A/B testing, and it's difficult to say something you shouldn't test. But sometimes, like this is just par for the course, right? This is, if you want to play in this space, you should have these disclaimers. Like it's not an option. It's not a test where you should test it with the disclaimers. Without the disclaimers, the right thing to do is to have these disclaimers. Everything else around that is, up for grabs as far as testing goes. Bringing the conversation kind of back to the content side of things, what are some trends you see on the content side for an online direct-to-consumer supplements company?
What I'm seeing is that more and more my clients that were marketing in that way are branching out. So like we kind of started the conversation with, they want a lot more content for the website now than ever before. They're trying to show up in Google searches. Some of them may be doing some type of pay-per-click advertising somewhere, whether it's Google, Facebook, wherever, but some type of advertising, and they want a lot more content, landing pages to drive people to, or content that's going to show up organically. And then the other trend that's really picking up, besides the doctor author thing that we kind of beat to death earlier, is that everybody's trying to sell on Amazon, because Amazon is the new marketplace where everybody goes to buy everything. And supplements are definitely a very big category there. And if you can get a foothold in Amazon, you're really in. And the really good thing about the Amazon marketplace is that you don't have to put as much content on there. You really just have to get a product on there and get reviews. So it's the product description is really the stuff that we write a lot of for Amazon. A lot of people are kind of worn out trying to do marketing, and they say it's kind of like the old school ClickBank of informational products. So, people used to put out informational products and try to drive traffic to it themselves. And then ClickBank became, well, it's so much easier if I just put it on ClickBank and let somebody else drive the traffic while I just give them affiliate commission. And so Amazon has become that. And a lot of people who are just worn out with the marketing, because marketing is tiring and marketing is work, and there's constant A/B testing, and there's all these things to take into consideration. A lot of them now are going the Amazon route, the list it and forget it. And It's been great for some of my clients. They've done really well. I have some clients that are, one of the top selling products in their category. So I have some clients that are killing it on Amazon. I have others that are struggling because if you have any kind of questionable ingredients, and I'm not saying questionable by means of necessarily safety and efficacy, but questionable meaning the FDA has put out any kind of announcement about it, Amazon pulls it right away. And then you have to go back to the drawing. FDA puts out something, and then our clients say we have to now reformulate to take out this ingredient.
Yeah,
Amazon I think is a big player, and I think it's just people need to learn how to use it and really get those product descriptions succinct to the point. Nobody wants to read a long form sales letter on Amazon.
No, it's a very different type of sale, and it's extremely, extremely competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like a buy box, you're done. Like, I have very mixed feelings about Amazon because Amazon is a double-edged sword. It's great because it's basically the largest search engine for buyers in the world, right? And on the other side, Amazon owns all that data. So Amazon has got their essentials line, right? And they have their own supplement competitors. And where do you think those kind of came from? That came from knowing what are the big sellers in supplements. So they just kind of use your product for market research and then knock off your supplement formulation and come out with the Amazon formulation that's now cheaper, that now owns the buy box because you're playing in their world and they're controlling the rules. And we didn't even mention that you don't even own the customer, which is huge. So there's no back end. There's no opportunity to make more money on those customers unless you just sell them more of your Amazon product, which is essentially a race to the bottom. I'm going down a rabbit hole now, but
well, I'll point something out that I've observed, and I can't say this with certainty across the board, just with the clients I have that I've seen their experiences on Amazon, is that some of them were able to get onto Amazon. And like, I'm thinking of one in particular where there was an ingredient recently that the FDA put something out about. Amazon pulled the product, so they needed to reformulate. They still had, product in the warehouse. So what are they going to do with that? The reformulated new product can go back up on Amazon in however many months it took for them to get it reformulated, manufactured, and ready to go. But in the meanwhile, you better believe that the customers that were used to their product and used it every day and needed it, they went and they typed in and they found their website and they were buying direct. So I do believe that for some people, there is a good experience where if customers get exposed to your product and they're buying it on Amazon, they will go order from your website. They will follow you, so to speak. If you fall off of Amazon, they'll follow you to where you're selling from. If you're selling on eBay, if you're selling on your website, wherever you're selling, they'll buy from. If they've become a loyal, kind of dedicated customer where your product works for them and fits a need that they have.
That's an excellent point. I mean, if Amazon is your only channel, I'd say you're in trouble.
Yes. I would not recommend. So for our clients, we have very few that Amazon is their only channel. But the trend, like going back to what you originally asked, that I'm seeing is that a lot of our clients are trying to branch out and say, okay, people are looking for us, and Amazon is this really big search engine that everyone's using. So why not put product on there as well? Because we're missing some of that sale that we could be getting. But I don't have very many of my clients are using Amazon as their only sales channel.
That sounds like they're smart.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise Amazon as your entire marketing plan.
No, not at all. And I think it's very tricky on how you fit it into the marketing plan, on the pricing side especially, but also on the promotion side as well. I mean, people are going to find it anyway, but if you do, if you're doing a big cold traffic push on the front end to get buyers in, some of them are going to not buy on your funnel, but some of them are going to Google it. Some of them are going to go right to Amazon and say, can I get this cheaper? because you're always going to see an uptick in sales on your Amazon sales at the same time where you do any big pushes, any email pushes, any pay-per-click pushes, or any type of traffic pushes to your sales page or funnel page or e-commerce site. It just kind of goes par for the course.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some of my clients that are using Amazon as a sales channel, I see them just using it not so much trying to compete with what's on there, but just as another buying channel for their customers. So exact same product, exact same price. If you're a Prime member, you're getting free shipping. But it's, you might get it free shipping and you might get it faster, or you might get it tomorrow or whatever once it's in stock at a warehouse near you. But it's the same product that they're selling on their website and fulfilling through a different channel. It's just another fulfillment channel for them.
Yeah, it is tough to compete with that Prime. I know I'm addicted to it.
Everyone is.
Yep. What about some trends in the marketplace? So some of the things I'm seeing are like a form factor trend. Like, so instead of taking a pill, a gummy, a functional food, a drink mix, any trends on that space?
Yeah, everything has moved. Everything. So, when I first started in this more than a decade ago, everything was a capsule. Oh my gosh, all I did was capsules. I did a few pills, but most people were moving away from pills already into capsules just because of the faster dissolving of the gelatin. Now, hardly any capsules. Oh my goodness. Half of our formulation business, easily, maybe more, is forms other than capsules. We're doing a lot of ready to drink beverages, some, like little shots, bigger shots, let's compete with a vitamin water kind of product. Tons of gummies. Oh my gosh, I formulated more gummies in the last like 3 to 5 years than I care to admit. And the trends with those, they're painful. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. Everybody wants to be vegan. Everybody wants to be natural, sugar free, and things that make gummies very difficult to make. So yeah, I've seen all of it. I would say with the different forms, it's more along the lines of easy to use. A lot of people don't like swallowing pills and capsules. So it's what can gummies, any kind of chewable, because we have all types of forms that are chewables, not just gummies. We've worked on functional food type chewables. If you guys are familiar with Lara bars, that type of a form, all the way to what can we stick under the tongue that will dissolve, so the sublinguals are taking a foothold. Oh my goodness. Like I said, tons of ready to drink beverages. We've now gotten into coffee supplements. Any kind of food that can be made into a functional food now is being made into that. So tons on the functional food side, where it's something that people already are eating or drinking, and now we can add their supplements into it and market it as a supplement, not having to go through the food channels in terms of regulatory, because it's still a supplement. And that's actually just kind of taken me by storm. I don't know about the marketplace so much, because maybe I don't see as many of them out there yet as we are kind of working on them in our internal lab, like, testing, because we do a lot of test batches for clients who are trying to make something absolutely out of this world. And you can't just take it to the manufacturer and say, here, make me 30,000 of these before you've figured out taste and texture and color. And, so we do help our clients with nailing down a lot of that stuff. And yeah, it's taken us by storm, all these different forms. I was so used to just capsules, and it's like now our capsule plate is hardly ever out on the lab bench. It's, all this other crazy stuff.
You think the drink side of things, the mixes and the shots, you see those starting to get fatigued?
So I don't know in terms of the consumer trends, in terms of what people are buying. I do read a bit on consumer trends, but in terms of what our clients are coming to us wanting help making, those are still very busy. Powders to mix into water or the ready to drink beverages and the shot size ready to drink are still very busy in terms of people having an idea. Oh, I like this drink or I like this shot, but if only it could do this. And I think there's a lot of, innovating still going on in that category.
Do you see a point where the capsules are no longer the main thing on the marketplace?
It's getting there. And I mean, I'm almost sad because I feel like capsules are so much easier. I don't have to worry about taste and texture, and I just have to worry about dosage when I'm formulating. Okay, a 0.0 capsule, 750 milligrams on average is going to fit in there. How many capsules are you willing to max out at? 4 a day, 2 in a dose? What are you thinking? And then once I can nail that down with our client, then, we go to work and what can fit in there that's going to be efficacious and safe. Now I'm just, colors and textures, and I have to taste this stuff. And,
that's a huge part, right? If it doesn't taste good, and that's a whole nother problem to deal with, making it taste good and still getting the right ingredients and health benefits that you get a lot harder in a drink than it is. I could see the market kind of shifting back at some point. I don't think anytime soon, but eventually people will get tired of, now I've got to drink 5 different things, and then that's going to be too much for them. They're going to go back to the ease of the capsule.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I don't think that capsules have died. I'm not in any shape or form saying that. I just, in terms of the types of clients we see, we tend to see the more innovative things, because what happens is they go to a manufacturer and the manufacturer says, you can't do that. And then they end up coming to us because there really aren't a lot of options in terms of finding somebody to help you create something brand new in the market. And so that's why we end up with a lot of those kind of innovative projects from some of the small business supplement companies. The bigger guys, they do a lot of that innovation in-house. So we don't necessarily see it, but we get to write the content for it. So that's how we see what's happening on that side too. But I don't think capsules will ever die because it's just the most convenient way to do things, in my opinion. You don't have to worry about taste, and you don't have to worry about texture, and you don't have to worry about solubility and color. And there's just too much when you're dealing with the beverages and the functional foods and so on.
What about the wearable space, like the wearable devices? Have any of your clients gotten into that end, or have you written any content around that yet?
Not in the supplement space, no. We've written content in some of that virtual space when it comes to innovations in the biotech and medical device space. We have some clients that we get to see cool stuff, because as a small writing company, not like a giant big marketing company, with fancy offices in New York City or whatever, we do see a lot of the smaller businesses with a much smaller marketing budget come to us for help with writing. And so we do see a lot of cool devices and innovations. And so we have seen, there's a lot on the medical device space and the surgical space with the wearables, a lot in the training space just for doctors and surgeons and things like that. Even with training in healthcare beyond just doctors and surgeons. So there is a lot happening with that, but I haven't seen really anything on the supplement side yet. I'd be excited to. So if anybody out there has something cool, bring it to us. I'd love to see it and write about it and help you put together content that really appeals to your audience.
Yeah, I think that's the next blue ocean area for the supplement space to go into.
Yeah, I think there's so much happening. Like the healthcare industry as a whole and pharmaceutical industry as a whole is just exploding. We're just living in that era where information is coming out so fast, and it's mind-boggling. So I love seeing how quickly things are innovating, and just the new ideas and the studies. Because our team, we read studies all day long. I tell people that, I don't really work. I just read for a living and write, because that's really what it is. We get to see all the new studies that are coming out and write about them in such a way that the average customer can understand what they're taking and what's in it and what's been studied about it. And so when I started doing this, there were so few studies in the supplement space. These herbal and natural ingredients got so little funding, but a lot of companies now don't have a problem with paying out of their pocket. And then we're seeing a lot of work still coming out of universities, which are government funded. So there's so many studies being published. It's so encouraging, because there's a lot more evidence now for supplement use than there was, 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and just having access to those studies, some of those studies, and those are pretty expensive subscriptions to those studies. So the value you guys offer is just not only from access to all that information, but the authority, like you mentioned earlier, is just it's
absolutely. So one of the things on that topic that some of our clients do request is to have studies on hand, because they know if the FDA or the FTC swoops in and says, why are you saying this? They want to have on hand, here are the PDFs of every single study that we're mentioning on our site related to our product. And so that is an actual whole other service when it comes to content that we offer, because, it's very hard to kind of accumulate all those studies and have them there sitting. And so, a lot of people have access only to the abstracts. Not a lot of people can actually get the full text of these studies. And so we're able to provide that for our clients so that they can feel more secure that they actually have the entire study, have read the whole thing. They know what they're talking about on their website. And it's not just us that knows it. They have it as proof on hand.
And is the full study more or seen by the FDA as or I don't know if the right word is valuable than the abstract, or like how does the FDA view that part of it?
So it really depends on what the situation is. So if you get a warning letter that basically says cease and desist, it doesn't matter that you have the study on hand. They're just going to tell you to stop, because you don't have the right to say what you're saying. But there are times where people need to just prove what they're saying. And here are the actual studies. So the abstract basically only gives you the overview. It's the summary, but it really doesn't get into the details. You might not know, the demographics of the people that were in the study, the dosages that were tried, the exact results, so you're not going to get, in one paragraph, you're not going to get all that information. That one paragraph just says, hey, we did a study, we used this ingredient, and we found that it helped reduce joint pain or whatever. But having those studies on hand is definitely, I think it's one of those things where you can feel a lot more confident, whether you get questioned by your customers, an outside entity, not necessarily just FDA or FTC, but there's so many different, associations and kind of trade groups that get involved in some of these things, asking companies to substantiate the claims they're making about their products. And that's where a lot of our clients come running to us and say, help, we need to create a response to this customer, this group, this lawyer, whatever it is that they get tangled up in. They need to prove themselves, and they need to be able to show, here's the studies that were done with these ingredients, and here's why we're saying what we're saying.
Yeah, and it's always good to cite that stuff in the copy as well, right? Putting those footnotes in and the research links at the bottom. There's so many use cases for it. It's just endless.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we really specialize in, is making sure that we're citing the studies, we're giving you that whole kind of reference list at the end. People can then look it up for themselves if they want to. If it's a study that there is availability online, we can link to the full text of the study if it's open source. So those kinds of things are really valuable, because it builds, again, back to the trust factor. When the consumer is on that website wondering whether to buy or not, and they can see the studies and they can even click on them and go look, and then they'll feel a little more confident themselves rather than just taking your word for it. For me personally, when I see those websites that I think are I think of it as just a hard sell. Just, hey, this is going to fix your whatever, your brain fog, think clearer, better memory. They're not telling me what's in there, and they're not telling me what dosage. They're not telling me anything. It's just buy this, hard sell, hard sell. I'm out of there. I'm like, yeah, no trust.
Yeah, that's just a lazy marketer, right? They weren't willing to do the work.
Yeah.
Karen, this has been great. We can talk for hours, but I think what we covered was fantastic. Tell people where they can find you, where they can work with you, how they can get a hold of you, all that great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the writing side, a lot of our clients come in through our main and kind of first business, which is the med writers. So don't forget the in front, and then med, MED, writers.com. But a lot of our supplement clients find us through that sister business that I told you we ended up kind of splitting off eventually, which is makeasupplement.com. And either one of those is just fine. You can find us on there. You can contact us. I'll give you my email personally. It's very simple. It's just Karen at themedwriters.com or Karen at makeasupplement.com. And Karen is Karen, the super easy way. Our phone number is on the site. Fax number. Does anybody do that anymore? So we've got contact forms you can fill out, because a lot of people come to us not just wanting to just check us out, but it's more of, I have this problem. Can you solve it? And if you take a look at the Make a Supplement site, you'll see the full line of things we do, from formulations, creating from scratch and helping to improve existing ones, and efficacy and safety checks, and working, like I said, on endorsements and videos, and just the writing, the scripts, everything. FDA and FTC compliance, if you've gotten a warning letter. Some people are looking to patent. It's difficult, but it's possible. We can do work on that too. We do all kinds of things. So check us out on there. Feel free to reach out. Give me a shout, send me an email, and we're happy to help. Let me know what the problem is. And we're one of the few companies in this niche that's just here, a group of scientists and doctors here to help. And so we're happy to do it. It's what we do. It's what we enjoy.
Yeah, you guys are very unique in the space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks again for coming on the show. I would love to have you back in the future.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Bobby. This was fantastic. I enjoy this kind of chat. I'm a super nerd. And so I love talking science. I love talking marketing. I love talking business. And I am super excited for next time around. We can jump into some more details, maybe on the formulation side or whatever you think your audience would benefit from.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
All right. Thank you.
Creative Thirst is a direct response digital agency focusing on conversion rate optimization and A/B testing. We work with dietary supplement companies who are struggling to maximize the profitability of their funnels so they can scale. Through the last 7 years in the online health space, we've optimized many dietary supplement businesses. And in that time, we've uncovered the 3 critical funnels for success. We put together that information in a free digital download called The 3 Funnels Every Health Supplement Business Needs to Build a Multi-million-dollar Empire. You can get that free report by going to creativethirst.com. Scroll down to the appropriate section and click on the blue Get Your ebook button.